Hey everybody, welcome to the show. So today what we're going to do is go into the vault as promised yesterday, and we're going to pull out a wrestling nostalgia show that is one of my favorites, and it's a brief one. It's just about 20 minutes, but it's one of my favorite memories as a wrestling fan, which happened almost 21 years ago now, with Mankind winning his first WWF championship. So that's going to get going in just a minute, but just as a reminder, with Super Showdown tomorrow happening at noon, I will be doing a review show for Super Showdown on Friday, so it's going to be a very special Friday edition of the show. Normally there isn't too much happening on a Friday, maybe your AEW review, but that is going to be coming alongside of the WWE Podcast's official review of Super Showdown that's going to be taking place in just about 12 hours. From now, and a little over 12 hours, probably 14, 15 hours as I record this from Riyadh, and we'll be covering that and giving the opinions, a full review coming your way on Friday, and then of course tomorrow will be your NXT review, AEW on Friday, and also your Super Showdown on Friday, and then back to the Sunday weekend review. So still many shows to go, and we're more than halfway through the week here. So, guys, I want you to just sit back and relax and enjoy this one. This one is one of my favorite memories. So we're going back into the vault. This was recorded originally on March 17th of 2019. So just keep that in mind as we play this for you and pull it out of our vault. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you haven't seen this clip, if you have not lived this moment, I would really encourage you to do that. And I know I mentioned that also in my show that I'm about to provide to you, but it is, again, a powerful moment. Might have been arguably the biggest pop Stone Cold Steve Austin has ever received, and he has received some mega pops. This is up there. This one is, I think, in the top 5, inarguably. So you're going to want to listen to that. And during the show, as you guys know, I provide some audio so you can listen to it with me live. And that's a lot of fun. I love being able to listen to it in real time with you guys, and you can hear my reaction to it. So one last thing, follow me on Twitter if you haven't already done so, and, you know, all the usual stuff, and rate and review, and, well, you'll hear me as I repeat that in the show that I'm about to give to you. So, guys, I'll be back on Friday with the Super Showdown review. Until then, I'll talk to you next time.
It's time for your weekly fix of wrestling nostalgia, when we look at wrestling's past eras, from the Attitude Era to the Reality Era.
I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead, but the fact is, it's going to get taken over by his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family.
To today, here on the WWE Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Wrestling Nostalgia portion of the WWE Podcast. It is Sunday, March 17th, 2019. So, happy Sunday, if that's really a thing. Although, honestly, I don't like Sundays. I just like Sundays more than Mondays. Because Monday, you're already into the week. Sunday, you have to think about the whole week. So, for those of you 9-to-5ers, you fellow 9-to-5ers out there, you know what I mean. It's just, you're just thinking about the whole week, and you'd rather just be into it, and then time's on your side, and then you're just getting to Friday, right? So, well, guys, I got a cool wrestling nostalgia moment for you today, and it is when Mankind first won the WWF title back in January of 1999, and it is one of those moments that I remember very vividly as a wrestling fan. I grew up in the Attitude Era. I was a teenager in the Attitude Era, so that fit right in with my demographic. It fit like a perfect glove. And this moment was something that I remember where I was. I mean, there are certain moments in wrestling history that it's almost a life-changing event. I mean, you have these times in history in wrestling that stand still. And more often than not, it happens well, very rarely these days. And that's not a knock on the guys and gals. It's just a different product now. I mean, when you have an all-star lineup, as you did back in the 90s, every Monday was can't miss. Every SmackDown, when that came around, was can't miss. And you just were left wanting more and more and more. And that's a feeling I want when I'm done with the show. And nowadays, it's, just get through this. So, I mean, not every week. Not every week. I appreciate all the effort that goes in to the shows, but when you have a 3-hour Raw, a 2-hour SmackDown, you have NXT, you have monthly pay-per-views, sometimes bi-monthly pay-per-views, it gets hard to stay engaged. And on top of the fact that, let's face it, this is not an all-star roster by any stretch. There are stars on the roster, but you cannot hold a candle to what WWE, WWF at the time had on their payroll every single week. The Rock, Stone Cold, The Undertaker, Kane, Triple H. I mean, the list goes on. And it felt big time. They brought in Mike Tyson. You had Shawn Michaels, Chyna. It was just a stacked roster. And back then, I took things for granted. I mean, every week I just said, these guys are going to be here every week. Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. I mean, these guys, when the invasion happened too, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. It was just mind-blowingly good. Was every week a hit? No. But the guys and gals were so talented and were such just gravitational personalities. It didn't matter even if the scripting and storylines were not up to par. It could deodorize a lot of the issues in storyline with how talented some of these individuals were every single week. And as I said, we're going to get to that moment in history, and I'll let you guys relive it with me. I have the audio that I'm going to play through my mic here and let you live through it just as I did. And maybe you remember it, maybe you don't, or maybe you aren't really sure. Well, I will jog your memory and give you that moment. It's about a minute or so, so just bear with me when I play it. But I'm going to set the table here. This is the WWE Podcast, so thank you for joining me as we roll into WrestleMania season full steam ahead. There are no more stops other than Raw and SmackDown. And WrestleMania is 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today is WrestleMania. We will be enjoying it live together. I will be tweeting throughout that show, and it's going to be a hell of a show. I'm looking forward to it. This card is, I want to say, stacked. I mean, yeah, Triple H and Batista may be underwhelming to some people. They could heat that up very quickly. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. You have AJ Randy, which surprised me in their promo. That instantly got me excited without even laying a finger on each other during that promo. And that's a testament to those two and their professionalism and just experience under their belt to know how to still cut a hell of a promo. And they seem to have good chemistry together. But the back and forth, I love that. Obviously, the women's match, which is the triple threat, which has become much more convoluted than ever needed in Becky Lynch, Ronda, and Charlotte. I'm almost to the point of, like, let's get this over with because of how exhausting and sometimes silly the logic has been in the storyline. You have Shane turning heel, facing The Miz, which I like that booking as well. There's just so many good matches, and obviously I didn't touch on them all, but this is a wrestling nostalgia portion of the show. But I will be doing a review show of Raw and SmackDown later this week, and so keep in tune to that. And while you're at it, if you like all these ads and plugs removed, you can check me out at patreon.com/WWE Podcast, where all of these ads will be removed, and you will get an ad-free experience of the show. And also, you can find me on anywhere. I'll leave it at that. Anywhere. I'm not going to run through the typical 5 or 6 or 7 major podcast apps. You guys know where it's at. Just search for me, and I will be there. So, I'm going to take a quick break. Immediately following the break, I'm going to get to that moment in time that stood still and made me jump out of my bed, probably at the time, because in 1999 I was a 8th grader, middle school, just became a teenager, right? Yeah, I was born in 85, so I was 14 years old, and boy, loving every second of it. So I will get to that audio right on the other side of this. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Would you like to increase your cash flow? Kind of a stupid question, right? Who wouldn't? Well, I would encourage you guys to go to 247forlife.com. That's 247, life.com. And when you go to this site, you can just put in your email, some basic info, and you can get hooked up into an amazing opportunity where it will help you do just that, increase your cash flow. Why is it? Look, when you think about it, why is it that some people just seem to make money no matter what the economic climate is, while the rest of us have trouble even scraping by? Well, 3% of the population controls 97% of the wealth in the free world today. Think about that. 3% controls 97% of the wealth. So what are they doing that we're not? Head over to 247forlife.com. Again, this is not some get-rich-quick scheme. You just go to the site, enter your basic information, and you get free instant access to the most powerful wealth creation system on the internet today. It'll get you a lot closer to that 3% group. Remember, guys, they control 97% of the money. So check out 247forlife.com. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back. And as promised, I'm not going to delay any further. Just take a listen. This is Mankind winning his WWF title on January 3rd, 1999. WWF Raw is War, edition number 293. All right, guys, so that was a hell of a moment, and not just because Mankind won the WWF Championship for the first time in his career, and by the way, Michael Cole putting him over like $1 million, giving us the history of Mick Foley and how he struggled to even survive his first few years in wrestling and be calling Moby Mick and sleeping on the floors of Motel 6s. It made it just so much more emotional as a fan, on top of the fact that Stone Cold, prior to this, had taken weeks off of appearing on the show, so it was a complete surprise to see him in the main event of that match, perfectly set up. The table was set up so perfectly for all individuals. The crowd, one of the loudest crowd responses you've ever heard in your life, and also what's extremely historically significant about this match is that it is the turning point, the official turning point of the Monday Night Wars, where WCW at the time was destroying WWF Raw in the ratings, and I think it was 82, 86 weeks straight, something like that. And the announcers on WCW Nitro had gotten wind that Mick Foley was winning the WWF Championship, which was pre-taped at the time. It wasn't live. And they spoiled that on the air of WCW Nitro and had tried to divert the attention away from WWF, saying, oh, Mick Foley's going to win the WWF Championship tonight. Oh, that'll put some butts in seats. Well, what they didn't know was that was a channel changer for millions of viewers to change their station from Nitro to Raw, basically giving WWF free advertising without even, well, inadvertently doing it. It was such a historical moment in WWF, especially in the Monday Night Wars, in terms of the massive reaction, the just absolutely deafening reaction to Stone Cold, who is by far and is still in my mind the most and was the most over guy ever in the history of wrestling ever. I don't care whether you're talking independents. I don't care whether you're talking WCW. I don't care what brand, what year, what generation. To me, show me how anybody else was as over as Stone Cold was. You may tell me that someone outlasted Stone Cold in terms of longevity. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to dispute the fact that somebody may, over a longer period of time, generated more money from the company. But nobody burned hotter than Stone Cold did from his career really from late 97 through 2003 when he retired. Nobody in the history of wrestling burned hotter than Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't care what you throw at me. There is nothing that will be able to change my mind on that, and I'd love to hear the statistics of what and how you believe somebody else was hotter than Stone Cold. I know CM Punk. CM Punk was hot. Daniel Bryan was hot. If you're going to the modern era, Hulk Hogan was hot. But no one drew the money that Stone Cold did in terms of pay-per-view buys, selling out house shows, selling out Raws, selling out SmackDowns. Nobody, merchandise, tickets, everything, you name it. Stone Cold was the man. He was bigger than WWF. That's a fact. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. It is a hell of a moment. I really, looking back at it, I mean, and I encourage anybody to go back and look. It's January 3rd or January 4th, 1999. Mankind wins the WWF title for the first time, eventually leading to a program with Stone Cold and The Rock at WrestleMania, where Stone Cold would regain the WWF Championship. Nonetheless, again, guys, this is one of my favorite moments, one that still gives me goosebumps, even when I have seen it 300 times over the last, 20 years ago. 20 years. That makes me feel, oh boy. I'm 34, so I was 14 when I saw this. I can't believe it's been 20 years. But that's, to me, those are the moments that stand still in wrestling, and there aren't a lot of them. And that was one. And I like to share the ones that I loved the most and had made me become just a fan for life. And that's one of them. Again, guys, I know that I may be Stone Cold heavy on the wrestling nostalgia segments here, but he was the reason that I got into WWE. He is the reason that I am still a fan, because he is, well, even though I know he's not a competitor anymore, he's not even on the show anymore in any kind of regular basis or even semi or part-time basis. He is the reason that I loved wrestling and stayed with wrestling. So, all right, well, that's a wrestling nostalgia segment for the week. These segments are quick and dirty. Next week, I've already decided what I'm going to do. I've already decided my wrestling nostalgia segment for next week, and I'm going to go with the very first Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. And the reason I'm going to go with that is because, well, first of all, it is the first memory or first real feud or program that I remember as a wrestling fan in 1997, which took place at Bad Blood in October. And it was to me, I didn't know it was or wasn't real yet, which was kind of cool. It's kind of like the deal with Santa Claus, right? Like, it's still awesome when you believe. It's still fun. And back then, it made me question: is this real? These guys look like they're killing each other. And that was the very first program that I remember, and the first program that drew me in. It was one of the best told stories that I've ever seen. in storytelling. I mean, these are two pros, all-time greats, which didn't hurt the situation. But the fact that they were being locked in for the first time, a cell, not a cage, it has a roof on it, a cell. So I really want to get into that, give you guys some audio from that, and just an amazing story. And I'll definitely get to that next week. I've already decided. How about that? So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to head out here, but don't worry. As I said, I'll be back later this week. It's WrestleMania season, and it is only 3 weeks away, which is just crazy. And then we get into that WrestleMania hangover, and I actually get slightly depressed. I don't know about you guys. It's just kind of like, oh, WrestleMania, oh, well, it's over. Just like Christmas. It's like and it comes and goes. And then now what? So, but no fear. I'll be here. I will be back later this week. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will talk to you next time.